County Historical Museum, Library, and Village. I'm Stephanie Kibler, Director of the Museum, with Risha Lilienthal, Coordinator of our collections and exhibits here. We've had an exciting couple of weeks because now I also have to get into my head that we have a new employee.
Two.
Oh my God. So we have Thomas, who is Program and Volunteer Coordinator, and Ben, who's social media. And we just wrapped up Eddie Cochran Car Show and Music Festival, which wasn't much of a music festival. We only had two because of the whole COVID nonsense.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun to have a full staff.
Yeah. It was cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, it has nothing to do with what we're doing today, but it's just very exciting.
A nice update.
You what?
I said it was a nice update.
Oh, it was a nice update. And it went really well. It was really fun, actually.
Fun.
For all of the concerns going into it, it actually was a really nice weekend. Anyway, welcome to Cocktail History. We are going to talk about the Moscow Mule today, which when we selected this one, I had not gone and looked at the history of it at all.
Oh, I still haven't.
It's very interesting. Okay. So, most people think it would have been invented in Moscow, but it's really a Moscow Mule because of the vodka.
Because Smirnoff's Russian vodka, is that it?
Well, vodka's Russian.
Right.
I mean, I think is where that's
just
from.
Feel like Smirnoff is super.
It's got a Russian name, yeah. My favorite is Grey Goose, which I've just read is distilled from French wheat, so not Russian. But so the Moscow Mule is made with vodka, a spicy ginger beer, and ginger beer is non-alcoholic. It's more like a ginger ale. A lot of people think there's alcohol in it, and lime juice, and then it's garnished with a slice or a wedge of lime. It is a type of buck, which I didn't know this term, is any cocktail made with ginger beer or ginger ale and citrus is a buck. Oh, that's interesting. So sometimes it's called a vodka buck. I like Moscow Mule way better, but, and it's served normally in a copper mug.
Why?
Well, that is because it takes on the cold temperature of the liquid. So it keeps it a little cooler. Now, there's some health advisories that, make sure your mug's lined with stainless, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But the likelihood of the copper leaching while you're having a drink is so minimal. But, like so many other cocktails.
Oh, it's convoluted history of origin.
Yes. Right. So the first thing I read was about Sophie Berezninsky.
Okay.
And she was a woman on a mission, is what the story said. She had immigrated to the U.S. from Russia and was carrying 2,000 solid copper mugs with her. Her father had owned a copper factory.
Okay, I'm like, why?
In Russia, known as Moscow Copper Company. And Sophie created the design for the original copper mug that's now famously linked to the Moscow Mule. The story goes that neither she or her father were good salesmen. So they had all these mugs, not a good salesman, and here they are in America, and they've got all these mugs to unload. Her husband, Max, was tired of the copper mugs cluttering the house and gave her an ultimatum: find a buyer or I'm tossing them out. So Sophie's out walking around one day, walks into a pub called the Cock and Bull in 1941, and that is apparently the day John Martin would purchase the floundering Smirnoff Vodka Manufacturing Company distillery. Successful businessman, but didn't know how to sell vodka because everybody wanted beer, whiskey, and other cocktails that were popular at the time, and vodka was fairly new. Jack Morgan was in a similar bind, who was the owner of the Cock and Bull, and the two of them met to drown their sorrows, lamented over their poor sales, and apparently Sophie walked in the door with her box or bag or whatever cart of mugs. And they spent hours developing a drink. This is the story that Sophie told. So really it was I've just lost my word. Partnership, a
group.
I want to say conglomerate, and that's so not what I'm trying to go for, but cooperative. So they created the Moscow Mule at that time. But so John Martin, an executive at the Hublin Drinks Company, purchased a Polaroid camera, which was made in 1947. Edward H. Land invented it. The Polaroid Land camera. And once his bar was crawling, he went in and started taking pictures of the Moscow Mule. And the bartender got a shot for his trouble. Martin took a second shot to show the next joint what the competition was selling, and that's how he started marketing. But they're saying here, the Moscow Mule circa 1941, and although Martin often said that he and Jack Morgan, owner of the Los Angeles British pub Cock and Bull, created the drink, might not be the case, because according to the Wall Street Journal, penned by Eric Felton, the Cock and Bull's head bartender Wes Price also laid claim to the recipe. So it was at the Cock and Bull, but there's a little controversy as to who exactly created it. Yes. Yeah.
I like that story though of her coming in with these copper mugs.
Isn't that great?
Save the day.
In 1941, and she's gonna make it with copper mugs, and her husband didn't get to throw them out.
Was it her husband or her father?
Her husband.
Oh, I thought you said her father.
Her husband, Max, was tired of the copper mugs. Her father had the copper company.
Right, okay.
Yes, but her husband was like,
Gotcha.
get those off my dining room table.
Oh.
And she did.
Yeah.
Good for her. Yeah,
Woman on a mission. Yeah.
I know, right? I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was really, really a fun little story that she had the moxie.
Good word.
And she had the moxie to walk into the Cock and Bull and say,
Hey,
use my mug.
should we make one?
Let's make one. So we filled them with ice, about half full. 1.5 ounces of vodka.
Each?
Each.
Okay.
Might be a little stronger than what I would make it.
Nice.
We haven't had a cork pop for a while.
That was good. 1.5.
1.5. And then after that, it's going to be 1/2 ounce of lime juice. And I did fresh lime because I had a couple laying around. And then we have enough to do a little garnish. I think I maybe squoze a little too much lime. But squoze? Squeezed doesn't sound right.
Squoze sounds right.
Squoze sounds better. I squoze my lime.
Okay. Half an ounce?
1/2 ounce of that in each. And then we're gonna split this ginger beer.
Whoa.
It calls for 1/2 cup, but this is just
Oh my gosh.
under half. Well, good thing I
Good thing you
squoze extra.
squoze into the extra.
I'm gonna think we might. So and then just pour 1/2 of that in each cup. I know that could be a challenge. Well, boy, if you filled those, that'd be a big cocktail. Because that would hold a double. And then it's a little wedge of lime in each one. This is a nice summer drink, but it's also a really nice, let me get a spoon. Really nice, I think this time of year where it's fall, but
It
it's
keeps
not.
going back and forth between hot
Yeah,
and
it's
chilly.
a little humid today, but it's got that ginger flavor, which is good for the fall. Ginger flavor is way better than pumpkin spice.
I'm not gonna agree with you on that one. I love pumpkin.
I love pumpkin too, but this pumpkin spice is like out of control. Okay, so cheers.
Ooh, it is cold.
I could use more ginger beer in mine.
Yeah, but I like it. That's good.
I love that. That's it's got a lot of lime to it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're prepared. You got more.
I've got more. Don't know how prepared I am, but I do have more.
I do like, this is like a very like, I feel like I want to start doing like bar songs, like.
Well, so now that you say this, the only thing that keeps running through my mind as I'm looking at this and trying to read about Sophie and who created it, I keep thinking about the song Back in the USSR. Back in the USSR, you don't know how lucky you are, boy.
I don't know that song.
Back in the USSR. It's sung in one of my favorite movies with Sigourney Weaver plays the mom. And the brunette, can't think of her name, but anyway, they're scam artists.
Oh.
And Sigourney Weaver is pretending to be Russian, and she's at a Russian club with her next gentleman that she's target, and they want her to sing something in Russian.
Oh,
she doesn't speak Russian, so she sings Back in the USSR. Very popular, I believe, in the 1970s.
Okay, cool.
And people, you will not hear me sing very often, and there's a reason. But that's been
was lovely.
Through my head for the last 2 weeks. Every time I think of Moscow Mule.
Funny. Well, I have a little bit about Freeborn County.
I'm anxious to hear.
Because we have a ghost town that was called Moscow.
Yeah.
And like there are still people living in that area, but it's been qualified as a ghost town now.
It's not still a township either.
Right.
Did it get absorbed into like Albert Lee or something?
It's like in kind of the northeastern side of Freeborn. So I'm trying to picture the map, and I'm not picturing what's right there.
Well, northeastern would be Geneva.
Yeah, up in
Hollandale.
I think Hollandale. Oh yes, because the post office was Hollandale, so that's probably
kind of absorbed there. Then okay.
But it was named in 1857, which was also when it was platted. It was either 1857 or 1858. But there was a fire in 1857 that just ravaged a whole bunch of the woods in that area before they named it. But that reminded some of them of the burning of the city in Russia, Moscow, by Napoleon in 1812.
Wow.
So they were like, let's name it Moscow.
Isn't that fascinating? Because you'd never think a little town here in Freeborn County would be named after something Napoleon burned.
Right.
It's
like, where'd that come from?
Like, Napoleon seems so long ago that.
But 3 families were here when they had platted it, and they were the ones who wanted to like incorporate and stuff. And that was Nathan Owens, Benjamin Lindsay, and David M. Farr. Those were their names.
Okay.
Farr's family still is buried at the cemetery in that area.
Wow.
It had a flour mill, a post office, and that was established the year that they established the town. And it was at Farr's home with John G. Dunning as the village's first postmaster. And they had a general store in 1879 by Arthur Sanderson and his son George. And they erected a 2-story frame building for the store and a dwelling, and in 1880 stocked the business with general merchandise.
So a store and dwelling, as in they lived above the store.
Yep. And a blacksmith shop, a schoolhouse, a sawmill, which was made in 1866 by Joseph James, John Chandler, and James Driley.
So it was kind of a hopping place.
Yeah, they put in machinery and began operating a steam sawmill.
So what happened?
I don't really know. They continued to like grow for a while there in the late 1800s because there was also a hotel and a creamery.
Wow.
And all that's left is a former store building, abandoned creamery, and a few homes near County Road 25 and 34. Around 1910, there was still the creamery and a store and a schoolhouse. But after that, it continued to kind of dwindle down. I don't know if places moved to Hollandale and Geneva and stuff, and so that's why
Interesting.
died away. It's kind of funny, in 1990 when the Soviet president at the time, Mikhail
Gorbachev, yeah.
He came to Minnesota in 1990, and the people in Moscow invited him to come visit.
Did he go visit?
He made it as far as southern Minneapolis.
Oh,
no, he didn't go visit, but
that's
they
too
invited him.
bad.
Yeah.
Gosh, that could have been the revival of Moscow.
Right. The post office stopped in 1903, so that also could have been another dwindling factor.
Well, they talk about that played a big role in a lot of the ghost towns that we have in Freeborn County. And it's interesting now, you know, with our current state, the post office is revamping, and packages, which seem to take forever already, will take, they're saying like up to another week. And I know they're looking again at cutting expenses, and for a while the little post office in Hope was in question, and I believe maybe even in Geneva of closing. And I think, oh, what are these, what, you can, you know, it's not like the post office is it's not the gathering place, but it is the one place in town that everybody relies on, right? I mean,
in some way, yeah.
You get your bills, you get your Christmas cards, you get
packages to each other's family.
It's you go buy your stamps, so you can. I mean, I just think you can see where a post office leaving would have an impact on a community.
Yeah, definitely. That's all I had on Moscow, and then I kind of went to Mule. I couldn't find any mule stories, but I found a pony story. And I've told you this one before, but it was a long time ago, so I don't know if you remember it.
I feel like we should have a mule story somewhere.
Right? I wanted to find one, but I found a pony one. And it has to do with John, who is the son of Anton and Amelia Larson. They were Danish immigrants who came to the U.S. in 1885 and settled in Hamilton County, Iowa. And then in 1897, John's parents decided to move north to Albert Lea, where there was a neighborhood called New Denmark, which is where Catherine Island is.
Just down the road from us. I think we butt up to it almost. I think it comes almost up to the fairgrounds.
And that's where they had a lot of relatives, so they decided to move up. But John's father was a carpenter. As he prepared to move the family and household goods, he was going to put them on a railroad, on the train, to move them up. But because of the costs involved, that meant that a lot of the items that they had in Iowa had to stay in Iowa. They had to leave it behind. However, this created some unhappiness.
You can understand that.
Yes, because John had a favorite pony.
Oh, gee.
His mother was concerned about leaving behind some treasured household items as well. So right about here, at this point in the story, keep in mind that John was 11 years old.
Oh, gee.
So, to make his son John and his wife happier about the move to Albert Lea, Anton devised a solution. The rest of the family and most of the household goods would travel on the train. John would make the move alone.
I do remember this story. Now, John being
the son,
the 11-year-old.
11 years old, yes. In a cart filled with his mother's valued household items being pulled by his favorite pony. John was told by his parents to go north on what were very rough roads. His mother specifically told him to look for a farm place each afternoon where the people would give John food and a place to sleep for the night.
I just think, you know, if I had said to my daughter at the age of 11, head north,
right?
She'd be in Florida.
Well, I'm thinking the trust. Just go to that person's house as you go by, and they'll give you food. It's fine. And a place to sleep. So he was given breakfast and directions for the route to Minnesota all the way up.
Isn't that something?
After 10 days or so and 100 miles on the road with the pony cart, John arrived in Albert Lea. So it wasn't terribly long.
Well, 10 days is a long time. For an 11-year-old boy to be on his own, that's
true.
a long time.
one of the farms in North Iowa where the young lad spent the night had what Swanson's article said. There's an article by a man named Swanson. It had many young girls and a couple of boys. One of those young girls was named Ida Anderson, and she'll come back later. But he became a
Dun, dun, dun.
he became a carpenter and a stonemason in Albert Lea, and then also, so he like followed after his father. So Anton was a carpenter, and then he became a stonemaker, and then John continued that. And they had the firm named the Albert Lea Construction Company.
Oh.
So that was by them. And then when John grew up and got older in Albert Lea, he purchased a book with the title Concrete and How to Use It. So that continuing that education on that. It was a very important first guide in building forms, mixing aggregates, pouring and finishing, and was a cherished book he held onto for the rest of his life.
Wow.
In 1903, he formed a partnership with his cousin Walter Simonson, and they made Larson and Simonson Concrete Construction Company here. And their first big project was to install concrete street curbing for the city of Albert Lea.
Wow.
Yeah. With a few years, the cousins kept busy in Albert Lea and around the area. And then World War I hit in 1917, and he became a member of the U.S. Army and served in France. And when he returned to Albert Lea, they resumed their construction company. In 1919, John married Ida Anderson, who was at that farm on his way up north.
So had they stayed in touch? We don't know.
No, she ended up moving to Albert Lea.
And just looked him up, or
I
maybe
they just
she
met
wanted
around
breakfast.
them. She's like, I gave you breakfast, you give me
Right.
breakfast. Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. But that's the pony story.
I like that.
And which I'm afraid I might have said it in another past like program here, but if I did, there was more detail this time.
I think did it come up maybe at a popcorn history?
Oh, that could be.
Could have been.
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it ties in nicely with the Moscow Mule.
Yep.
I thought for sure you were coming with a Russian immigrant story.
That would be what's his name? Oh goodness. He did a clothing company here. There's also the guy that helped with building too.
Try at the tip of my tongue too.
Yeah, Charles Upin.
Upin.
Yep,
There you go.
Upin,
Upin.
Upin.
We weren't sure.
Upin,
U-P-I-N, right?
U-P-I-N. Charles
Upin. Upin.
Upin. Upin. Upin.
All right. Cheers. Cheers.